Welcome to video number 26. Have a happy Sunday. And today I am talking about man's ascent into space. We human beings have been venturing into space since October 4th, 1957, with the launch of first artificial satellite called Sputnik. This satellite called Sputnik was put into orbit by the USSR in the year 1957. The satellite orbited the Earth every 96 minutes. Later, November 3rd, 1957, just a month after Sputnik was launched, the USSR achieved a more impressive space venture with the second artificial satellite called Sputnik 2. But this time it's even more interesting. This satellite had a living creature in it, and the USSR became the first country to launch a living creature into space with a dog named Laika. The US was still running behind. They were still behind the race, but it took them another year to launch their first satellite called the Explorer in the year 1958. And both the USSR and the US had all their credits gone down to the German rocket engineers. It was the German rocket engineers who developed the ballistic missiles for Nazis during the World War II that helped develop these rockets. It's the infamous V2 rocket that led to the foundation of all these space explorations. But putting them aside, USSR was still venturing into space. While this was happening on the other side, US have now started separating all the space exploration activities and now started a new government agency called National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And this is NASA. And now that US has its own wing to carry out space exploration activities. But USSR came up with another bashing surprise to the entire world. They launched the first man into space. Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin was the first man to venture into space, to orbit the space, and he orbited the Earth for around 108 minutes. The flight lasted that long. He successfully orbited the Earth and reached back to the Earth. And USSR kept on surprising the Americans year after year. This annoyed the Americans as well. USSR came up with even more impressive feat by the launch of Luna 2, a satellite that launched a probe to send the first man-made object into the moon. So the first man-made object that touched the moon was also the USSR object. Now that USSR has a lot of achievements, it launched the first satellite, it launched the first living creature into the space, it launched the first cosmonaut into space, it launched the first man-made object into the space. President John F. Kennedy had another plans. He put in a government meeting only to set up a goal to land a man on the moon within the next decade. He put up the meeting in 1960, and by the end of 1970, US had planned to launch the man on the moon. This was a successful attempt, with all of us being aware of what happened next. Neil Armstrong became the first man to land on the moon in 1969 with the Apollo 11. And this started a whole new set of space exploration. A lot of other countries started joining the space exploration activities, and space has now become a venture for business. Not a massive scale business, but governments started investing into space, and this is now a large scale activity. Then came the role of the need for space stations. Both USSR and Americans launched their own space stations. Later, the International Space Station came up as a common space station for all of these activities. The countries have now started developing probes to land on different surfaces, to land on different planets. US sent out probes to Mercury, to Venus, and a lot of countries have sent their probes to Mars. These are all minor achievements, rather experiments being conducted to study the surface of other planets and also research the exoplanets out there. And space exploration going at this space, we all know where it is heading to. But as a matter of fact, this is where all of it began. It's the infamous V2 rocket designed by the German rocket engineers during the World War II, only to develop ballistic missiles that led to the foundation of the space exploration. And it was the USSR's and the Americans' Cold War that led to a competition between them, only to improve the space exploration activities, to develop the investment behind the space, and have space where it is right now. Having said this, have a good day. Thank you.